I'm the CEO of Push, and I want to explore why fast beats big and how businesses can align themselves for success in the coming years. I'll highlight 3 phenomena that are absolutely vital to driving growth. I'm Steve Hyde, and this is my Oxford Talk. I came out of university in the 90s. The holy grail for business graduates at that time was to get a job in marketing or sales in a blue chip FMCG firm. So I went and did just that. I worked for Kraft Foods, Pepsi, and Disney, and it took me the best part of 10 years to work out that I was wrong for that world. Annual appraisals would see me get promoted to the next level, and I'd be told that I'd been a good boy in driving results or analytical thinking. But the blot on my copybook was that I lacked executive maturity. Now, I never quite worked out what that really meant. And by that, I think in my mind that I wasn't always able to toe the line. I didn't fit the mold that was made. I wasn't ever interested in playing politics. So for me, getting a needs improvement for executive maturity was a badge of honor. And in time, it meant that I needed to move on from the corporate world. The thing that frustrated me was the slow pace of change, the inability for organizations to choose to do the right thing and get ahead fast, even when it was staring them in the face. I was once told by a boss that I was spending too much time on one small customer and not enough time whining and dining the big ones. The big ones happened to be Woolworths, WH Smiths and HMV. The small company at the time was a little business we now all know as Amazon. Today, I'm going to tell you why fast beats big, and in particular in the world of advertising. Businesses of all sizes make a decision to advertise usually because they're looking to grow. It's a very natural thing for them to do, and they've been advertising their products and services for centuries. But the professionalization of advertising is really noteworthy in the last centuries. In many ways, there are 2 very distinct eras of advertising, pre-digital and post-digital. In the pre-digital age, the phrase that was bandied around endlessly was, "Half of my money I spend on advertising is wasted." The trouble is, I don't know which half. Now, this all changed in the early noughties when Google introduced what many of us know as AdWords, or Google Advertising, in 2004. Gradually, more and more businesses learned that they could, in fact, see an exact return on investment from their ad spend with Google. And this set about a revolution in the world of marketing. Now, think about it for a second. The internet impacted on all business functions, production, logistics, finance, and HR, but it was advertising and marketing that was most radically changed, more than any other business function. New skills were needed, old skills were made redundant, and many well-schooled marketeers who had grown up in an era of TV, radio, and press advertising were quickly made to feel out of depth as digital began to dominate the marketing agenda. Like any big change, there was resistance, even denial. Now, what I remember most about that era was how predictions were beaten. Even so-called experts underestimated the speed of digital transformation in the noughties. Some think panel would say that perhaps in X years' time, digital advertising would overtake TV, and then it promptly did just that in 2 years, way ahead of schedule. It's as if none of us can quite keep pace with the pace of change. Perhaps this is because many of us are making predictions that grew up in the 90s, when the pace of change, with the benefit of hindsight, was slow. As an example, take a look at this book, Super Brands. I've deliberately kept hold of this copies from 2007. It's not that long ago, to be fair. It's a coffee table book you'll see in ad agency receptions and refers to all the brands we know, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, BMWs, Kellogg's, and so on. But guess what? There's no mention of Google or Amazon, not even in their brands to watch section of Future Stars. It's quite staggering. They did have 2 pages, though, on Thompson's Local. And it's not like the internet was something new then. Google itself started life in 1998. Facebook had already kicked off in the USA and launched in the UK. The first iPhone 2 had just been launched. The writing was on the wall, but many businesses either couldn't see it or didn't believe that what they were seeing. They were either blissfully ignorant or were paralyzed in fear. Just think about the business models of, say, Toys R Us or Thomas Cook, the travel agents. If we all took a trip back in time to 2010 and walked into their respective boardrooms and announced, hey guys, have you heard of the internet and digital marketing? Everyone around the table would have nodded and acknowledged how important it was to them. But they were just not able to respond quickly enough. And herein lies a dilemma, best visualized like this in what is known as Martec's law. We know that technology changes at an exponential rate. This is a phenomenon that is known as Moore's law. But we also know that human organizations don't change that quickly. Changes in behavior and culture take time. There are only so many changes in people, processes, and technology that an organization can productively absorb at one time, at least without a major disruption. So broadly speaking, organizations change at a logarithmic rate, much slower than their exponential technological change. Now, whilst this visually looks like a smooth curve, the reality is that there are some catalysts that come along on a global level that add fuel to the momentum. We saw this in the financial crisis of 2008, and we saw it again with the pandemic. Once again, experts and businesses alike were caught out. While many businesses get left behind, others, though, do excel. So what's the secret? The secret is you've got to move fast. Sometimes we take this for granted, and there's a lot of noise around the topic of fast. People love buzzwords like agile or pivot, but why is fast important? Well, fast is important because when a new marketing tool or channel becomes available, it is initially inexpensive or low cost to use. As success with the tool or channel follows, more and more competitors jump on board, so costs go up as demand for the same space increases. If businesses keep on consistently adding new stuff to their marketing mix, they can keep their aggregate costs down. So what are the next big shifts in the world of advertising and marketing? I'm highlighting 3. Some of them you'll be well aware of, but might not appreciate how big they are going to be and how quickly they'll be taking over. All of them are already with us, but they are set to explode. Firstly, automation of ad campaigns is going to be a massive theme in the next few years. Many businesses look at the sheer range of digital channels out there: Google, Facebook, YouTube, Microsoft, Amazon, LinkedIn, TikTok, to name a few, and they're unsure where to place their advertising budgets. May not be possible to advertise a business on all of these platforms, but you need to test them and allocate budget accordingly. Automation is going to make this more manageable, particularly for small and medium-sized businesses. Second up is video. The pandemic massively shifted behavior. We're currently seeing more focus on content that is produced while working from home. So suddenly we have removed the procrastination on video as people have grown used to things like podcast interviews via Zoom. They've finally become happy to engage with video that it's in its rawest form rather than thinking about a more polished professional approach. We'll also see more focus on producing content that entertains. Just look at the explosion of TikTok. Just think what you thought about WhatsApp. Remember when you thought WhatsApp for kids? Or same with Instagram? Well, people are thinking that about TikTok now. Thirdly, and by no means least, extended reality. Kids are no longer the only ones excited about extended reality. It's a category which includes both fully immersive VR or virtual reality and augmented reality, in which imagery is superimposed onto a user's view of the world around them. All of the big tech firms are investing billions in this area. The expectation is that the impact on society will be even bigger than the smartphone. So how is your business ready to make the most of these shifts and get ahead fast?